Donald Trump versus Ted Cruz, round 2. Fun for everybody. New poll out nationwide. Here comes Ted Cruz. I say with no joy at all, actually. I mean, I like the cat fight, but Ted Cruz is the only guy in the race who might be more dangerous than Donald Trump. NBC News Wall Street Journal poll out. Donald Trump is still in first place nationally, 27%. But Ted Cruz with a giant gain, up to 22%, now solidly in second place. Rubio's at 15. Carson dropped 18 points all the way down to 11%. And Ted Cruz right now in the latest polls winning in Iowa. So Donald Trump jonesing to pick a fight with him because that's what he does. He diminishes opponents by mocking them and goading them and eventually steamrolling them. Now the problem is that Ted Cruz hasn't given him any ammunition, meaning that he hasn't attacked Trump at all. The minute you attack him, that's it. He's going to go full bore. And in fact, Trump has said earlier, like, if I can't attack first, but if he says anything, I'm coming. I can't wait, he said. So it turns out Cruz did say something behind doors. He told donors, you look at Paris, you look at San Bernardino, it's given a seriousness to this race that people are looking for. Who's prepared to be commander-in-chief? Who understands the threats that we face? And then he went on to say in that same meeting that he questions the judgment of Ben Carson and Donald Trump and wonders whether they're up to that challenge. Oh, no, here we go. Donald was like, oh, thanks God. Throw the gloves off. Let's go. Okay. So he attacks him, questions a lot of things about him, including his Cuban heritage. Classic Donald Trump. Then he says, I was disappointed that Ted Cruz would speak behind my back, get caught, and then deny it. Well, welcome to the wonderful world of politics. Then Ted Cruz says, no, I'm not going to fight. He's been running from Donald Trump the whole time. Maybe he was playing rope-a-dope with him, which would be appropriate. He said, the establishment's only hope, Trump and me in a cage match. Sorry to disappoint. The real Donald Trump is terrific. Hashtag deal with it. Yeah, but no, wait a minute. We didn't make you guys fight. Donald Trump is the one attacking you. You're the one who attacked him behind the scenes. We didn't put those words in your mouth. You did. We didn't put these tweets out. Trump did. So please, spare me with the blaming the liberal media. It's so tired and trite. So in case you're wondering if it really is Trump attacking him, then Trump comes back with this. He says, you look at that way that he's dealt with the Senate, referring to Ted Cruz, where he goes in there frankly, like a little bit of a maniac. You can't walk into the Senate and scream and call people liars and not be able to cajole and get along with people. He'll never get anything done. Now, that sounds like an attack to me. And by the way, it also describes almost perfectly what Donald Trump does. But nonetheless, putting that aside, he's right about Ted Cruz and calling him a maniac, clearly on the offensive. So Ted Cruz still like, oh, no, please. I would not like to fight. And he puts out a tweet in response saying, in honor of my friend, real Donald Trump, and good-hearted hashtag maniacs everywhere. And he puts a link to the video from Flashdance. Maniac. Okay. Oh, he's so clever. But he actually, in terms of politics in this case, is. Because today Rush Limbaugh came out saying, oh, wait a minute now. This is the first time that I've had a problem with Donald Trump. This is a red flag. Because everybody knows Ted Cruz is a good conservative. Now, Rush Limbaugh says that because Ted Cruz is a maniac. So Rush Limbaugh's like, oh, I like that guy. He opposes all progress. While Donald Trump's talking about banning Muslims, last week, Ted Cruz introduced three separate bills to ban different kinds of Muslims. So he's actually doing it. And he's going to obliterate taxes on the rich, et cetera. He's as insane right-wing as it gets. So this Cruz strategy of like, oh, me? What? I didn't say anything. Oh, look at Donald Trump. Oh, he's attacking me. Oh, I'm the victim again. And getting Rush Limbaugh on Fox News to defend him, not a bad strategy. We'll see how it turns out. Now, meanwhile, like I said, he's just as crazy as Donald Trump. In fact, when asked, what would you do to fight back against ISIS, he has said repeatedly this same quote, we will carpet bomb them into oblivion. Now, Donald Trump has said we'll kill their families. Carpet bombing is actually a little bit worse because you'd maybe kill ISIS and their families and then random families that have nothing to do with it. Carpet bombing is indiscriminate. You'd kill civilians left and right, and you would drive the civilians into the arms of ISIS. It is preposterous. It is incredibly stupid. It's just said to get the Republican base to be, yeah, kill them all, yeah. So Cruz is no different than Trump in that regard. And if you don't trust me that it's not a good idea, well, let's go to Major General Robert Scales, retired military historian. He says, quote, about that quote from Cruz, that's just another one of those phrases that people with no military experience throw around. To which I say, damn. So they're both horrific. They're both maniacs. And so I fear who's going to come out of this cage match. There is no good answers here. If Trump comes out, oh boy, you know his fascist tendencies. If Cruz comes out, he might be the only guy worse than Trump in terms of his fascist tendencies. So God help us all. Am I rooting for Marco Rubio in this mess? I don't know, man. There are no winners on the Republican side. It is a holy mess. But right now, they are ripping each other to shreds.